Hello, hello. This is Pat, back again with another response video to James Baber and his channel devoted to defeating Adventism. This is Short 21, the Seventh-day Adventist, Seer, Ellen White, False Decalogue Vision. Let's take a listen to what James has to say. This is a good one. All right, before I start this one, I want to point out that James definitely states his opinion on the law. The 10 Commandments that were written by the finger of God in stone, placed in the ark, covered by the mercy seat, are one and the same as a book that was written in the pen of a man set beside the ark. Therefore, when the law was done away with at the cross, worshiping God and no other God before him is done away with.
We are going to be treated here with a false vision and a false view of the scriptures by Ellen White. Once again, early writings, 1882. She gets a vision here on the mark of the beast, and when she's talking about that vision, look here with me on page 55. She talks about the Pope changing the day from the 7th to the 1st, and then she said this: he has thought to change the greatest commandment in the Decalogue. Was the Sabbath the greatest commandment in the Decalogue? No. Let's look here at what Jesus said, Matthew 22:34 through 40. When the Pharisees were testing him, they asked us, Jesus, tell us what's the greatest commandment in the law. By the way, it's not the Decalogue, it's the whole law, which includes the Decalogue. And
Told you. He just said it.
Jesus said, you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, and mind. This is the greatest and first commandment, and the second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself.
Okay, James. So there is this thing called subjectivity. In what way am I not being subjective if there's not a standard by which to love God? If there's not a standard by which to love my neighbor as myself? Because if there is no standard, then my opinion or my personal feelings on how and in what way I can love my neighbor may be different than yours. How and in what way I can love God can be different than yours. There has to be a standard, James.
Jesus just said the greatest two commandments are Deuteronomy 6:5 and Leviticus 19:18.
Apparently, these two verses that he quoted are laws that were given way after the laws were given, because those books are after Exodus. Exodus 20 is when we're given the moral law, and then when it comes to the Levitical priesthood and all that, it's after Exodus 20, but it's still in the book of Exodus. So apparently God was still giving laws after that.
Not the Sabbath. Ellen White is wrong again and contradicts the Bible. We are going to...
All right, James, so if there is not a standard, everything about how we should love God and each other is subjective. However, there is a standard. I would hope there's a standard. He is the God of creation. He wants our attention in a very specific way. And with that in mind, the standard is the Decalogue. It is the 10 Commandments. Although the way we love God is definitely the first, I'm going to discuss the second, which is how we love our neighbors. So the last 6 commandments say how to love our neighbors. You shouldn't kill them. You shouldn't steal from them. You shouldn't want their stuff. You shouldn't have false accusation against them. Without these standards, it's subjective, James. So what about God? Does God have a standard by which he wants us to love him? Yes. He doesn't want us to have any other gods before him. He doesn't want us to make any graven images. He doesn't want us to bow down to them. He doesn't want us to take his name in vain. And now, the last one, which is the 4th commandment, which I would agree, among the Decalogue is the greatest commandment. Why? Because it, of all 10, tells us who the lawgiver is. If we reword the fourth commandment to be keep the Sabbath, which is what the Pope did, we remove who the lawgiver is. And I could be worshiping any god. The first one, you should have no gods before me. And yet the fourth commandment confirms the God being discussed. It says, remember the Sabbath, and to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work. But the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. Okay, so the seventh day. What day is the Lord's day? The Sabbath. In it thou shalt not do any work, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, their manservant or maidservant, nor their cattle, nor the stranger in their gates. Now, before I keep reading, what is the mark of the beast about? It's about buying and selling. And look, here we are, the fourth commandment. It's about buying and selling. How strange. So why should we keep it? Because of who the God is. For in 6 days the Lord God made the heaven and the earth and the seas and all that is within them, and rested on the seventh day. Wherefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. Well, he is kept holy, and he hallowed it. That means it's a special day, separate from any other day. Now, when we talk about a king or a ruler giving rules and laws to determine who the rule giver is, they have 3 attributes. They have the title, they have the name, and they have their dominion, what they have power over. Well, his name is God, and his title is Lord, and his dominion is that he is the creator of the earth and the sea and the heavens and all those that is in them. So we are particularly focused on which God we worship. The God that we are worshiping, based on the Decalogue, is the creator of everything. If we take all of that away and we just have it say, keep the Sabbath, you can now change the first commandment simply to, thou shalt not have any gods before me. Okay, well, which God are we talking about? It's vague at that point, James. It becomes subjective.